Emily stood in the scrapyard of the intergalactic trade station, her boots crunching against metallic debris that glittered under the artificial sun. Around her, mountains of discarded alien technology stretched as far as the eye could see. Ships, weapons, and devices from 1,000 worlds, all deemed worthless by their original owners. She was the only human working on Station Kepler 7, employed as a salvage technician, a job most species considered beneath them. Another human wasting time with trash, muttered a passing Krillian merchant, its 6 eyes gleaming with disdain. Emily ignored the comment. She had heard worse in her 3 years on the station. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, barely a century into space travel while most civilizations had been exploring the stars for millennia. They were seen as primitive, their technology laughable, their understanding of physics elementary at best. But Emily had a gift. Where others saw junk, she saw potential. Her fingers traced the hull of a peculiar vessel, half buried in a pile of quantum processors. It was unlike anything she had encountered before. Organic curves merged seamlessly with crystalline structures, pulsing faintly with residual energy. The ship was roughly the size of a small house, its surface covered in symbols that shifted and changed when she looked directly at them. "What are you?" she whispered. "That's a Void-class scout ship," came a voice behind her. Emily turned to find Erling, a fellow salvager and one of the few people on the station who treated her as an equal. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with the kind of quiet confidence that came from surviving in harsh environments. Originally from one of Earth's Arctic colonies, Erling had adapted to space life with remarkable ease. "Void-class?" Emily's eyes widened. "I thought those were just legends." Erling shook his head. "They're real, but ancient. This one's probably 10,000 years old, maybe older. The Concordium classified it as irreparable scrap last month. Something about the AI core being corrupted beyond recovery." Emily's mind raced. The Concordium, the galaxy's most advanced civilization, had given up on this ship. That meant it was either truly broken or so complex that even they couldn't understand it. For anyone else, that would be the end of the story. But Emily wasn't anyone else. Over the next 3 weeks, Emily devoted every spare moment to the ship. She bypassed station protocols, requisitioned tools through creative interpretations of salvage rights, and called in every favor she had accumulated. Erling helped where he could, providing both technical assistance and cover when supervisors came looking for explanations. The ship's AI core was indeed corrupted, but not in the way the Concordium had diagnosed. As Emily delved deeper into its quantum neural architecture, she realized the problem wasn't damage, it was a fundamental incompatibility. The Void-class ships had been designed by a species that thought in 11 dimensions, their programming based on mathematical principles that most modern races had never even theorized. "This is impossible," Emily muttered one night, surrounded by holographic displays showing code that seemed to fold in on itself. "The logic structures don't just spiral, they exist in states that contradict each other simultaneously. Maybe that's why the Concordium gave up," Erling suggested, handing her a cup of coffee. "Some things aren't meant to be understood." Emily looked at him, then back at the displays. Or maybe they just weren't thinking like humans. The breakthrough came on the 23rd day. Emily had been approaching the problem like an engineer, trying to fix what was broken. But what if nothing was broken? What if the ship's AI was functioning exactly as designed, just in a way that quantum-based civilizations couldn't interface with anymore? Humans, with their clumsy, linear thinking and primitive computers, might actually have an advantage. Their technology was simple enough to create a bridge, working frantically. Emily began writing a translation layer, a program that would convert human binary logic into the ship's 11-dimensional command structure. It was crude, inefficient, and would probably make any Concordium programmer weep with despair. But it might just work. On the 31st day, Emily initiated the boot sequence. The scrapyard was suddenly illuminated by brilliant light. As the Void-class ship powered up for the first time in millennia, energy cascaded across its hull in waves of color that human eyes weren't quite equipped to process. Alarms blared across the station as sensors detected a power signature that shouldn't exist. Inside the ship, Emily and Erling watched as the AI core synchronized with her translation program. Displays flickered to life, showing star maps of galaxies long since faded, records of civilizations that existed before humanity's ancestors had left the oceans. Flight systems online, Emily read from the console, her voice shaking. Navigation online. Quantum drive, charging. Emily, Erling said quietly. Do you realize what this means? She did. The Void-class ships were legendary not just for their age, but for their capabilities. They could fold space in ways that modern technology couldn't replicate. Travel distances that would take contemporary vessels centuries in mere moments. This wasn't just a ship, it was a key to understanding an entirely lost era of galactic history. Within hours, the station was in chaos. Concordium officials demanded to know how a human had accomplished what their best minds had declared impossible. Trade consortium representatives began making offers for the ship, numbers scrolling upward into figures that could buy entire planets. Emily stood in the ship's control room, Erling beside her, and made her decision. The ship stays with me, she announced to the assembled officials, and I'm taking it home to Earth. The protests were immediate and loud, but Emily remained firm. She had done the impossible not with superior technology or ancient knowledge, but with human creativity, stubbornness, and a refusal to accept that something couldn't be done. As the Void-class ship lifted from the scrapyard, its engines singing a harmony that resonated across dimensional barriers, Emily allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had called it scrap. She had called it possibility. And together, she and Erling were about to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't matching the achievements of older civilizations, it was finding entirely new ways to surpass them.